Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to my Tabletop RPG News Roundup, this time for April 27th, a day late, I know, 2025, where I take a look back at the week in tabletop gaming news, especially about indie releases. And I will say, as I said in my computer RPG News Roundup yesterday, I apologize for the delays that have been going on. There is light at the end of the tunnel as far as my mom's recovery is going, hopefully. Just keep hoping it works. Hopefully it'll continue to improve and go well, and I'll be able to get back to recording Let's Plays and many reviews that I've had queued up for quite some time, but it may not be for a couple of weeks yet as my schedule sorts out, and at some point I'll actually get some sleep. Anyway, with that, let's start with some decidedly non-indie RPG news. Wizards of the Coast has released their system reference document for 5.2. The revised 5th edition is available on D&D Beyond, but it has also been released, I believe, under Creative Commons. This was met with some mixed reception, of course, since a number of publishers believe, and I cannot blame them, that this is only just a ploy to bring D&D 2024 edition to more eyes, which of course it is, but also an attempt to lure them into producing content that can then be reused by Wizards of the Coast itself, since, well, let's just face it, they are currently, undergoing a little bit of a shuffle in their team. So there is that. Onwards towards minor and PDF releases, Two Heads Are Better Than One is a 2nd edition Pathfinder adventure from Jeff Stevens Games, focusing on exploration and combat and apparently makeshift zombie ettins. Legacy of Maela has a couple of 5th edition adventures released from earlier versions. They are revised, I believe, for the 2024 rules. There is Hearts of Darkness and Death in the Family. Elderlight Press has a couple of 5th edition offerings, not so much adventures, but rather additional material. There is Monster Tactics Goblins, which is a set of traps, monsters, and goblin lore. Then Lanternwood, which is a collection of 5th edition creatures for a setting of hope and gentle magic. Arts of the Genre has the folio number 31, The Dungeon of Death. It is a final part of a 6-part Mega Dungeon series that has stats for both AD&D 1st edition as well as 5th edition. Cave of the Fallen Star is a 5th edition adventure dealing with a meteor that struck the ground in a nearby forest and punched into an unknown cave below. The Mad Druid and the Great Oak is another 5th edition compatible adventure, this time from Zan's Adventures, that deals with a druid who has imprisoned 3 dryads and is using their power for evil. Tales Forlorn is another 5th edition offering, this one offering a world of melancholy and steel, which includes a new mechanic, a gamebook adventure, and then a couple of scenarios, as well as an original ambient soundtrack. Elven Tower has King of Thieves, which is an adventure compatible with both 5th edition as well as Shadowdark, and has the characters hired by the captain of the City Watch to raid a criminal guild. Worm Hollow, the city under the glacier. I'm sorry. I've got a fuzzy little guest here that is trying to bust into the scene. Hello, kitty. See, yeah, he's my bad. All right. Worm Hollow, the city under the glacier, is a drop-in campaign setting for 5th edition, dealing with a city lying beneath an ancient glacier. Reborn Realms, Isekai Adventures, is a module that brings the Isekai-style genre from manga and anime to 5th edition format, so if you want looking for a different sort of play. Fargia, the Maelstrom Lands, is a 5th edition setting designed around a post-apocalyptic world transformed by magical cataclysms that has drawn people from across the multiverse into one realm. Erdvalis, although I think it's actually Earthvalis, Shattered Pantheon, is a codex for 5th edition 2024 edition that offers a sort of campaign setting based around a group of mythic items that grant mortals the possibility to challenge the gods that have been scattered into fragments across the realms. Arathane, the Nocturne Realm, the Shard of Souls, is an offering from Planar Inc. that offers a steampunk-style setting that picks up after the events of their Ars Mechanica releases after about 30 years, but in the same setting, so there's that. Seven Sun Tavern has Scotland Folklore Bestiary, Volume 1, which is a collection of Scottish folklore-based monsters for 5th edition. Then there's Fey Realms, Anwin Bestiary, which is another collection of creatures for 5th edition, this time inspired by Welsh, Celtic, and British Isles myth. Then The Lands Alive has a couple of offerings for 5th edition. There is Graven Images, a collection of creatures, relics, and other material, and then there's The Bloom Plague, another 5th edition bestiary. Dark Vermin is now available in a Shadowdark version and is a monster sourcebook that includes a number of creepy crawly creatures that can be used over a variety of levels. The Cursed Crystal is a Shadowdark/OSR adventure module dealing with a long-lost dwarven mine. Why do I keep saying mind when I say mine? The Chateau Amongst the Stars is an adventure module for Shadowdark or similar RPGs, dealing with a floating island in the sky where mysterious objects from different worlds have begun to fall into the landscape below. And again, cat, I'll deal with you later. Come on, little kitty. Go. Not so little anymore. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Then Witch Please has a couple of adventures for Dungeon Crawl Classics RPG. There's Hunters of the Goblin Grove and A Feast of the Goblin Winter. Altar of Embers is another adventure for Dungeon Crawl Classics and similar RPG systems. Originally designed as a leveling up montage for a wizard focused on elemental fire, it has been reworked into a short adventure that can be played by a single PC spellcaster or a party looking to destroy the altar and its guardian. Troll Lord Games has a number of offerings for Castles and Crusades system. Each one details a new group of materials. There is War Mounts that details the various creatures you can ride, Monstrous Armory, and then Adventurer's Armory, which detail equipment for like humanoid creatures and playable characters, respectively. Eyes of the Watcher is an adventure for old school essentials where low-level characters are drawn into the ruins of a lost empire. Minion RPG is a zine-style quick RPG system where you play various mooks, monsters, or minions in a dungeon. I presume not the little yellow ones, just like actual creatures. Free League Publishing has an Elven-based supplement out for their 2 Lord of the Rings-based systems. As usual, it has different titles depending on the system. For the One Ring system, it is Realms of the Three Rings, and for the Lord of the Rings role-playing game, it is The Keepers of the Elven Rings, which I believe revolve around the three that were given to the Elven Lords. Chaosium has Cults of RuneQuest, the Gods of Fire and Sky, which details the deities of the high heavens and the flames below, as well as their followers and cults. They also have the Game Master's Handbook for the new version of Pendragon. I have not actually purchased the new version of Pendragon. I'm still on the last one. I think it's up here somewhere. I was going to review the last one. That was the last one that had its creators directly involved before he passed away. But I found it hard to review because, how can you review what was essentially like the magnum opus of that dude's entire career? I should sometime. Anyway, back to this. Cubicle 7 has Warhammer Fantasy role-playing Lords of Stone and Steel, which is a Dwarven-themed supplement that offers details on various dwarves as well as Carrick Norn. Then there is Wildheim, a new system inspired by the aesthetics of Nordic traditions as well as Gothic settings. So everything from a dash of The Witcher to Bloodborne and so on, all mixed together. There is a core rulebook as well as the setting guide available separately. Call of Cthulhu, Ice Caves of Mount Fuji is a modern-era adventure for the 7th edition of the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game, and I'm currently holding a cat out because I am absolutely certain that he's just climbing up here just to be in my way. Anyway, there's also a Scion of the Black Lotus, another Call of Cthulhu offering that focuses on a cult devoted to Hastur, the King in Yellow. There's a number of scenarios for Tales of Menace and Mystery, an RPG with a sort of pulp-era theme. There is The Menace from Manchuria, The Prophecy of the Parish Professor, The Devious Desert Dilemma, and The Curse of the Kraken. Gotta give them credit for that thematic alliteration. Onyx Path has Pillars of Creation for the Exalted system. I think it's actually the Exalted Essence system. This one expands the content from Exalted Essence to offer new charms, antagonists, story hooks, and so forth. Katana Ra, the Nexus Archive, is an offering for the Katana Ra RPG that blends cyberpunk and ancient Japan. That details, this one just is a repository of information that can be used to speed start campaigns within the system, including pre-made descriptions, stats, and other material. Sprawl Goons upgraded the No Jackers netbook, is a supplement for Sprawl Goons upgraded that details various hacking rules and material to deal with cyberspace. And Nomad's core rulebook is an RPG system focused on small squads or giant piloted robots, so mechs. Then there is Gas, a one-shot scenario for the sci-fi horror RPG Mothership dealing with a subterranean prison in a hostile alien planet. And with that, let's take a look at crowdfunding campaigns. Remember that contributing to a crowdfunding campaign should be done only at your own risk. Doing so is no guarantee when you receive a product. Here, mentioned here is not an endorsement, but is for informational purposes only. And we'll start with the Cerulean Seas, a campaign setting for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. There's an update of an underwater campaign setting from 15 years prior. Then Wardens of the Wild from Legendary Games will be a compendium of wilderness classes available in 5th Edition 2024 format, as well as Pathfinder 1st and 2nd Editions. Fabled Debates in Diplomacy for 5th Edition and Pathfinder 2nd Edition offers a number of rules for debates, politics, and other social engagements for those systems. Our Spoils, Anthology Number 2 from Grimm Press, will be a collection of 5th Edition class archetypes, character backgrounds, spells, items, monsters, and PCs, and adventures taken from that series. Paying Debts will be a one-shot for 5th Edition, dealing with clearing an abandoned tavern and finding out what's hidden under its foundations. The Shattered Pact looks to be a 5th Edition Dwarven-themed adventure where you explore ancient Dwarven ruins and confront elemental chaos. Sorry, I'm being distracted. Dawn of Heroes looks to be a fantasy campaign for 5th Edition that will take characters from 1st to 8th level and include new monsters, magic items, and be an epic fantasy style believe there was some inspiration from various MMORPGs as well as that. Cursed Chronicles Haunted Adventures will be an assembly of 5 haunting tales for 5th edition with a gothic horror theme. Then Magic Mosses is looking to fund a 5th edition compatible compendium of magical weeds and various other plant-based material, as well as a one-shot adventure to go with them. Adventures from the Potbelly Kobold for 5th edition will be a collection of adventures from Jeff Stevens Games. Did I cover that already? I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, Ardenfell is looking to fund a setting guide as well as an adventure path based around the city of Ardenfell, which will be detailed street by street. Bizarre Buddies looks to compile 32 mounts, familiars, pets, and so on for 5th edition, each one detailed with a little bit more complexity than normal. Erasmus Vile's Encyclopedia of Enlarged Evils will be a bestiary of various microfauna and microflora enlarged into gigantic size for 5th edition. Then Monsters of the Month, Lurking in the Dark, will be another compendium of creatures for 5th edition, this one dealing with various cave beasts and other things that stalk in the darkness. Hunter Games Compendium of War Gear looks to be a compilation of a bunch of magic items, new properties for regular items, as well as associated feats for 5th edition. Aether Dark, Sail the Astral Sea, will be a Shadow Dark compatible rule set for battling and exploring and flying ships. Necromancer Games is looking to fund the Necromancer's game in a boxed set. It will be a set of OSR-inspired rules for RPGs. This is meant to either offer standalone or for fast-paced classic fantasy adventuring focused on player agency, but it can also be used as a set of rules that can be added on to various other RPG systems, so is that. Blood Veil will be a gothic vampire hunting tabletop RPG where you play cursed hunters trying to survive in a world that's already crumbling. A Traveler RPG, the Singularity campaign, will be a campaign from Mongoose Publishing detailing the golden age of the Third Imperium for the Traveler RPG, of course. Last Light of Soul looks to be a tabletop RPG set in a dystopian space age where cosmic horror themes are set in a dying solar system. And finally, there is a Milk Run, which will be a one-shot module for the Mothership RPG detailing a ship that appears to be trapped in space in a spaceborne jellyfish. And with that, I will wrap things up here. Links, of course, will be below. Again, sorry for the lack of images this week. I am really rushed. I'm actually recording this about an hour and a half to an hour before I'm supposed to put it up, and I still have to edit it, even the little editing that I do, upload it and all that, so this is going to be interesting. And as I said in my CRPG News Roundup earlier in this particular video, in fact, I've been spending quite a lot of time with my mother. She is currently in a recovery hospital, and I won't get into many details, but she is beginning to recover, and I hope it continues to go well. She has obviously suffered some damage, but it looks like at least most of that is short-term, although there was some damage to her thought process and such, but hopefully they're minor and such. Anyway, I will once again thank everybody who gave me well wishes over my videos for the past few weeks. Even though we are merely names on an internet to each other, you know, you may watch me just to get your RPG news. That's fine. And I tried very hard to keep much of my personal life out of this, but the last few weeks have just made that impossible because of worry for my mother, of course. It does mean a lot to me, and it means a lot to my mom to know that some people, even if she doesn't know who they are, were wishing her well out there on the internet. Thank you very much. Until next time, take care and goodbye.
And if you are still watching, I would like to take the opportunity to thank my supporters, the top tiers of which are listed on the screen, without whose support I would not have been able to offer the variety of content that I have on this channel throughout the years. If you're feeling particularly generous and would like to join them, you can support the channel. There are a variety of options to do so. I have a Patreon, a Subscribestar, as well as channel memberships enabled. If you are not in a position to contribute, simply leaving a like, a comment, or sharing my videos are all wonderful ways to help the channel grow without spending a dime, and are all greatly appreciated.